Welcome, ladies, to Starr Empress Hour, right here on Star 1, original network entertainment. Here we will discuss the varying issues of FAFs ranging from relationships, goals, prepping, current events, lies, education, changing thought patterns, and paradigms. So sit back and relax right here on Star Empress Hour as we work towards unifying, educating, and uplifting Black females. I'm Cookie Couture, and I'm here with Sister KK. On the panel, we have Asir Resh, Cordell Jones, and we will be soon, hopefully, having Sister Zora Souljah Bey with us. Tonight's topic is causes of the rise in the dropout rate of Black children in America. To kick off this topic, we have Kay with her viewpoints. Kay, do you have anything?
How's everybody doing? In the past year, in November 2015, a report was done by Child Trends Data Bank, and there were 17 to 7% decline in dropout rate among 16 and 24-year-olds between 1967 and 2014. Despite these figures, however, there are still many disparities in regards to race, Hispanic origin, quote unquote, and foreign-born status. Varying factors contribute to a student's dropout risk, such as high school rate of absenteeism, low levels of school engagement, and low parental education, work and family responsibilities, problematic and deviant behavior, moving to a new school in the 9th grade and attending a school with lower achievement scores. So with that being said, those are just some of the factors that are the cause of student dropout rate. And all of those ties into white supremacy. Don't forget that. But, let me continue. Statistics shown by Child Trends Data Bank categorize individuals between the ages of 16 and 24 who are not enrolled in school and have not completed high school or obtained a GED as a high school dropout. These statistics also show a marked decline between the 17% rate in 1967 and the 7% rate in 2014. Data also shows that the dropout rate of the youth was 21% among so-called non-Hispanic blacks, 12% non-Hispanic whites, and 34% among Hispanics. Now, while the dropout rate for black youth was historically low at 7%, this is partly due to the increased incarceration rates of the young black males, which more than doubled between 1980 and 1999. So you see how that plays out right there. Yet again, factors of white supremacy ultimately. These are things that are happening because of their attack on us. There's no other guessing about this. So, in some states, they have sought to focus on increasing their graduation rate, but with little to no regard for the quality of education that is given. One such state in particular is Michigan, where in Detroit, the House got together and pushed through what they're calling the Putting Students First plan, which is total bullshit. This plan is similar to the Senate plan in that it would create two districts, with the older one paying off the debt, and the supposedly new debt-free district economy would educate the children. The House plan would also provide a district with $720 million to pay off the debt. The House plan also provides for policies in Senate. Will also provide policies the Senate doesn't. One in which it would give the new school district the ability to make decisions about employees without union negotiations. And with that being said, A flyer was distributed by the GOP House leader, and it said the community district will only be able to unilaterally make decisions about employees without having to negotiate with the employees. And additionally, the amendment would prohibit the community district employees from conducting union business during district pay time and increases the penalties imposed on employees for striking. This plan would also require the Michigan Financial Review Commission to oversee the spending at district public schools. So that means that it would force the school district to only offer new employees the 401k plans instead of pensions. So this would basically force the district to offer a less desirable benefit package, and than those that are offered at the surrounding school district. So, basically they're creating these policies to lower the quality of the education our children are getting, but it's no surprise because at the end of the day, these are their schools, and it's suspected racist white people that are teaching our children. So of course they're gonna do this. They don't really care. They don't care at all. So so with this assessment, the Putting Students First plan is likely to force the Detroit School District to hire less qualified teachers, which will lead to decline in the quality of education in the Detroit schools, and over time cause an increase in Detroit dropout rates. This will inevitably also cause an increase in the rate of unemployment, crime, incarceration, and considering the growth number of incidents of police brutality in America, which is on a rise as it has always been. So you see what they've been doing, and they have been doing this for many decades. This is nothing new. Like I just read, 1980, 1999, and even before that, the educational system has never been in the favor of our children. It never has. Before integration and after integration. And after integration, certainly it has gotten worse. I can say that for sure. I don't know if Cookie remembered this movie, if she could refresh my memory, but there was this movie about this suspected racist teacher that was helping these black males and females who were living in a very dysfunctional and broken community. Do you remember that movie, Cookie?
Yeah, did it have Matt LeBlanc in it, that guy from Friends?
I believe it did.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the movie, but I remember when that came out. White people love to put out movies about how white people go into black neighborhoods and save the disadvantaged black kids. White Jesus all over again.
Yep, that savior nonsense they like to put out there.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, I forgot the name of that movie. I'm gonna try to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll continue with elaborating on that.
Well, in regards to the nationwide results from the National Center for Education Statistics, which shows that 81% of the class members in 2013 graduated, the gains made by each individual state greatly varies. This therefore suggests that the gains made were not necessarily the result of broad socioeconomic trends, but due more to local education reform programs. The graduation rate of the growing demographic of low-income children was 15% lower than that of those from more affluent families. As was stated in an article in The Atlantic, where dropping out is going up, more than a dozen states still fell below the national average, and a handful of those states, including Arizona, Illinois, and New York, even saw their graduation rates drop. The article also goes on to say that most worrisome states were Arizona, Illinois, and New York, in part because the gap also widened within their income-based graduation rates. Because of the high enrollment of low-income children of color within these states, there is an overlap of socioeconomic characteristics. So what that means is you have black children who are prone to who are prone to the poor scholastic ability or the dropout rate because of their poverty. So, the poor graduation rates of many minority students is often related to their low income status. Recent findings also suggest that large concentrations of disadvantaged children is detrimental to the children's academic success. However, because white people are in the majority in America and hold the majority of the wealth, the distribution of low-income families in areas of higher income presents the problem of blatant racism, which is significantly different than the institutionalized racism of low-income communities with a high demographic of black people. Nonetheless, despite these differences, the negative effects of integration upon a black child may greatly outweigh the benefits of living in a higher income community. I believe one possible solution for black families is to remove their children from the educational school system altogether. This system was never designed for us. We shouldn't be expecting anything less from them than the racism and injustice that they have exhibited towards black people all throughout history. The popularity of homeschooling in the black community is on the rise, and in an interview with Atlanta Black Star, Dr. Brian D. Ray reveals that homeschooled black children do better on average than white Anglo public school children, and far better on average than black public school children. One possible approach to homeschooling for black families is a few families within a neighborhood to form a group wherein each family chooses a day in which they will teach all the families of that are part of that group. They will teach all the children of that family that are part of that group. And then they can kind of switch off days, or maybe if there is a Afrocentric school on certain days, they can go to the Afrocentric school, and then on the days that they don't go to that school, they can do home study. But putting your children in this environment where you are entrusting them to the care of complete strangers and people that you don't know what type of childcare training they've had, that's not a good idea at all, especially when you're putting your children in the care of suspected racists. I think you have more points on this to offer, Kay?
Yes, Cookie. You definitely said it. I believe that it's very important that we make the sacrifice to start homeschooling our children so we don't have to put them in these unwelcomed, unhealthy environments that is just set up to fail them. There's no need for them to be there. It's our job to, as parents, to teach our children. Because I could tell you, I'm 21 years old, but not too long ago I was in school, and I can remember throughout my academic lifetime in that damn asylum, as I call it, a lot of those teachers were very judgmental. I could tell that they looked at us like savages.
Mm-hmm.
They looked at us as unclean, dirty, and illiterate, and looked at us lower than low. There were times where these suspected racist teachers, will go on a rant about what we should be doing, such as not getting knocked up and pregnant, so we don't end up staining the hood, or better yet, the community. They're trying to insinuate, and being on welfare, Section 8 and food stamps. They have said this to me. And that movie I meant to say was, Freedom Riders. That movie was there.
Yeah. And people raved about that movie. Well, white people raved about that movie.
Yeah.
People love hearing about how a white person went into the dark heart of some black region to save the poor, disadvantaged black children. Whether it's in Africa or it's here in the States, they just love hearing those stories.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. And in this story, it was about a dedicated teacher, suspected white racist female, who played her name. I don't know if I think this is her character name, or maybe her real name, Hilary Swank.
Oh yeah, that's an actress. Yeah, Hilary Swank. Yeah.
And it was, in the story, basically they were in a racially divided Los Angeles school, where there was a class of at-risk teenagers deemed as incapable of learning. Instead of giving up, She inspires the students to take an interest in their education and planning their future. You hear this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this movie too, and it really didn't stick well with me at all. Like a lot of times when I've seen, we see these movies of black people being so-called saved by white people. It just never seems sincere at all.
It's not sincere.
Yeah,
It's total garbage. It's total garbage, and the reality of it is the majority of the teachers that are sent into black communities that are white are poor equipped, and they do not know how to control the classroom. The children run over them, and then the teachers leave disillusioned. So a number of them decide to leave the teaching profession altogether. Some of them, they leave if they can duke it out, as white people like to say. Then they get to progress up to the upper class schools. My mother is a teacher, and so she had to read this book that was all about that, about how the school institutions, they purposefully put poorly equipped teachers in low-income neighborhoods, so that it's kind of like a trial run. If they can do well there, then they can move up to the better communities, And so, oftentimes, not only in minor cases, they're poorly equipped. In severe cases, these people, they have violent tendencies. They take out their frustrations and anger on the kids. They expose their racism to these kids. So these kids, they have to deal with some teacher that regards them as less than human, or whatever. And it's the worst possible scenario that you could ever put your child in.
Most definitely. I had teachers, suspected racist teachers, that would say, I'm getting my paycheck at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter. They would say this. They would say this with no shame. I mean, right in front of the class. There's times where they would use profanity, and they would say things that you definitely knew what they were insinuating. And when they would do it, the whole class would get quiet, because I'm pretty sure we all, as black people, we all understood where they were coming from, but nobody said anything. And even if they didn't say anything, I'm pretty sure the principal wouldn't do anything, because she's a suspected racist as well.
Yeah, I remember when that movie Dangerous Minds came out, everybody was all big about that. And I remember the music video to that movie had Michelle Pfeiffer sitting in a chair. Oh, the blonde, innocent, delicate white woman with Busta Rhymes, this big, honking, black African man with the dreads everywhere. He's like rapping in her face, but in a loud tone. So she looks like she's cowering there, bravely standing up against the imposing black man. It was just the whole thing. The music video, the movie, just racist.
Yep. And it's a shame that we, a lot of us, you watch these movies and we're under the impression that it's so great and it's so inspirational. It's like Precious as well. You remember that in Precious they had that as well, where they had the teacher. I remember the teacher. She was like some type of mix. I don't know.
I couldn't watch that movie. It's too much with all these movies, just constantly reminding us, of the really horrible side of black culture, the black community. It's just too much. I think that was the same. Was that the same year 12 Years a Slave came out, or some other god-awful movie? It's just too much.
I don't either. I can't. I don't entertain it. No, sir. Is that Sabrina? Hello.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
That's nice.
Yes. It's nice to hear you.
Yeah, I pushed this to 5:30, hoping that Sister Zora Souljah would come on, but she's not on, so we'll just proceed ahead.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you were going to go into about the issues connected to diet.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's another factor that's affecting our children, what they put into their bodies. And I can tell you firsthand for what I've seen, unfortunately, with a lot of, you know, parents, whether they're black, female, or male, they don't take the time to really, nourish their children. They like the quick food where they just pop it in the microwave, or, the stovetop canned food, the packaged food, and they just give it to their, especially the babies. And I feel like they just do it all throughout their life where they just hand them the snacks, and that's their meal. And
so they hand them a jar of that Gerber mess.
Yeah, that crap. Without reading the package, they just think because it says natural on the front that it's good, and it's really not. It's really not. And I'm gonna go into a little bit more in depth. Yeah, the effect of the diet. Having a proper diet is very important, but unfortunately, because of low income status of many black people, the ability to access healthy food is extremely difficult, if not outright impossible. Therefore, the only solution to this problem is for black people to reclaim their heritage of farming, which not only dates back into our distant past in Africa, but dates to the much more recent era of the early 1900s. In 1920, 14% of all farmers were black. Unfortunately, due to the varying unjust and racist practices at the part of the banking and real estate industries, that number is now at a mere 0.01. Oh, damn, 1%?
Yeah.
0.01.
0.01.
Less than 1%. Less than half.
Oh my gosh.
It's practically nothing.
Whoa. In America.
Yep.
And, nonetheless, the only way we can ever fix the varying problems within the black communities to take control of our health, and the only way to do that is growing our own food, which I think is very imperative. I feel like a lot of us, we like to invest in clothes and material things, and I'm not calling nobody out, because of course we've all been there, because we've all been taught. Nobody has put it into our head to really care about our health, and to value that rather than buying clothes, because I know plenty of Beths and Bams, going to school, and even now, they will buy like a $400 belt, but then they will buy something at McDonald's, cheap food, but then expensive clothes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's not, that's not acceptable. What you put in your body is definitely important. And we have a lot of
even joke about it online. I see people posting these memes. Oh yeah, I couldn't afford to give my baby, this and that healthy food, but at least I got this pair of shoes. And then all these people, that's the way it is sometimes. And I'm like, that's not, what? Oh my God. That's delinquency.
That's how you make it. That's what you settle for, because if you put your priorities first, or you put your health first, because what you wear doesn't matter. When you get sick, what you have on is not going to help you. No. And a lot of our children, that's probably why, along with the vaccinations that we're not paying attention to, that's probably why there's so much autism within our communities, because, that autism is linked with mildew or mold within the body.
And white people use those drugs as a way of taming black children, because they don't know how to handle black kids.
Yeah,
and because the majority of teachers are white women, terrified white women, a black boy looks at them the wrong way, and they're, I feel intimidated. He needs Ritalin, he's ACD or whatever the heck stupid term that they call us, our people. Then, the kid is hopped up on Ritalin or whatever, and by the time if he's taken that, from starting from preschool, or starting from kindergarten into high school, it can render them sterile.
Yeah, it can make them very sterile, which I have met not a lot of BAMs. I'm pretty sure there's more out there. They probably don't speak about it, and I have yet to meet them, but there's BAMs where they have low sperm count, and they're sterile, and they're young. I'm talking about 19, 20. So that's not normal at all. And the only reason
sterility is not a common trait in black.
It's not
in black men.
No, it's not. So, and it doesn't like I've come across black males who don't necessarily eat the most healthiest, but it didn't affect their sperm count. So it's definitely these medications. If you ask a lot of them, they will tell you, yeah, I used to take this and that when I was in second grade. I was in special ed. I had one suspected racist teacher, female that is, just like Cookie said, because they're the most vicious. You say the white man is vicious. No, his white bitches. I think she's the worst. This Irish suspected racist, tried to say that I needed to be evaluated. She said she was considering getting me evaluated simply because I enjoyed drawing in my book. Despite the fact that I'm doing my work and I complete all my assignments, for some reason my drawings on the side of my notebook is a problem for her. Along with my quirky personality, because I do have a personality that I guess is not typical for a black female, because they all expect us to be the stereotypical loudmouth that they had categorized us to be, and what we sadly aspire to be because we think that's who we are. Yeah, she said that to me, and I was like, "What?" And I told my mother. I mean,
even when I was in community college, I had a teacher say that because I couldn't grasp her ridiculous math program, because she had this really confusing way of solving math problems, because I couldn't grasp it, she said that I was slow.
Wow.
I was 24 at the time.
She's insinuating. I'm pretty
sure she said the exact same thing to a friend of mine's daughter who later had her class, and she's black. Same thing.
That says it. That says it all right there. They don't say those things. They don't say that to their own. I'm telling you that much. Never. And a lot of them can't teach. And I find that the worst teachers that you want for math are the white ones, and unfortunately the Asian ones. They just have a way where they don't know how to teach. They don't know how to give their information, and they don't try to understand their students so that they could, adapt to the learning abilities of their students and put it in a way where it's understandable. Because they went to school for it, we didn't. So you doing this like it's second nature, and we're trying to learn. And the teacher is not someone that just dispenses information. The teacher is someone who knows how to adapt to the student's mind and teach it where they can learn. That's what a teacher is.
But a lot of white people, they're not properly trained, or they're trained to teach white kids. The way I've noticed the way white people teach, and the way I tend to learn, I learn on hand. I can't, like, white people teach, they just throw all the information at you and expect you to grasp it all at the same time. But I've noticed from black people and myself, I learn as I'm doing it. So you give me a task, and as I'm working through it, then I learn. You can't just give me something that I can't then work, on hand or whatever, and then ask me, give me a test on it. That my brain doesn't work that way, and I've noticed that from a lot of black kids. They learn by on hand teaching. And white people don't know how to teach that way.
They don't. I tell you, the best math teachers I've had in my life, and teachers point blank, were two black females, which were in the third and the fifth grade. They were from a Jamaican background. And then I had in college, for entry, I had to take this math exam. I had a black male who was from Jamaican background, and then I had a tutor who was from Africa. I'm not sure where exactly, but a black male, and they were phenomenal because they're hands-on. They show you what to do. They break it down, and they understand that we don't understand, so they basically reciprocate it to us so we do understand, and they demonstrate it. They don't just zoom past it, and if we don't understand, they go back.
Wow.
They don't just move on. Like the white teachers, teachers move on. We gotta keep it moving, guys. Gotta keep it moving. If you don't understand, just go to after school. Let's go to after school.
Yeah, and that's because they're focused on the raising or lowering the school's dropout rate. They're not actually concerned about making sure that you learned anything.
No.
Wow.
And what they care about also is the ratings of the school. You know what they will do? They will tell you, what you call it, the state they're coming, so make sure you're doing your work and you're paying attention to the teacher, and da-da-da-da-da, and they put all this pressure on you. It's like, what the hell? You know, I remember one time in high school, I remember we read this article about how students, of course white students, because they're the only ones that have the privilege to ask for this, they were saying that they wanted to be paid for being good students. I think that should be applied. I think that definitely should be applied, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think that they should be paid, because there's a lot of black students who definitely benefit from that, being that they come from a lot of low-income families. That's like having a job.
I think for black children that would work, because black children, a lot of times, if they don't have a relative that had an education, they don't have anyone that will encourage them to put a high regard, to have a high regard for education. So I think for black children, that would be a really good incentive. Oh, well, if you do this, you get this. But if you don't do this, then you don't get that.
Yes. That definitely will help.
But even with all that, the most important thing we need to work on is getting our kids on real food. Even if your family is forced to eat beans for weeks on end, at least if you're cooking at home, they're getting a home-cooked meal that's without a myriad of unpronounceable ingredients that have been specifically designed to destroy black people. Also, what would be beneficial is to minimize their consumption of meat, because unless meat is pastured organic, it has added hormones in it that disrupt your body's natural hormonal function. Those types of meat are also higher in fat due to the poor conditions in which the animal was raised. Really good documentary on this is Food Inc. It explains all about the livestock industry and how domesticated animals are raised. It's a little graphic, so if you are really sensitive to seeing things where animals are being tortured or killed, then you probably wouldn't want to see it, because it's heavy. The one scene where the cow, it's being shoved by this great big tractor, and something happened to its legs and it couldn't stand up, and it's just being shoved along by this great big tractor, and you hear it moaning out loud, and it was kind of like it was crying. It was really disturbing.
What is the name of that again, Cookie?
Food Inc. It's by I can't remember the name of the it's a white man that came out with it, but it's really good. I think you can get it on YouTube.
Yeah, because I've seen documentaries on YouTube. I remember one time in this documentary they were showing how fast food and any food franchise or any food company that make like chicken nuggets or like patty type of stuff, they just take the chickadees and just put them into this blender while they're alive.
Oh yeah, it shows on that where you see the chickens for Tyson Foods. They make the chicken nuggets and all that garbage, and you see them on this big conveyor belt, and all the pieces, heads, wings, feet, and beaks and everything, all going into this big chopper. They grind it all up, and then you've got people working in a production line molding them into chicken nuggets, and then they putting them back on the conveyor belt where they get fried and all this mess. It's disgusting.
Disgusting. That means that the birds poop, the gallbladder, things that you really don't.
Yeah, and then just like the way the chickens are raised, they're kept in these cages where they don't, or they're kept in a coop, but there's so many of them packed in there that they can't really move around, and because of the hormones that they give, they did something to genetically alter them so that their breasts are abnormally large, because in America the breast meat is the most preferred. So the breasts are abnormally large, and the chickens can't really walk all that well, so they end up just kind of sitting in their own waste, where they develop all kinds of diseases, skin problems, and things on their underbelly and stuff. And
Wow.
and then it shows like this man, he comes in to check the ones, if they're not moving or if they're not walking around or anything, then they just throw them in the garbage and throw them out. It's just, oh my god, that movie just threw me. Oh my god, that documentary was really.
But
I
you
only saw
definitely need to see it
I
because I
saw it
think that's the
once.
only way we're gonna stop
You
eating that
definitely
fat.
need to see it, but I saw it once and that was enough for me. I was like, okay, yeah, that's different. I mean, I don't eat meat, but I eat organic pastured meat, and even then I only eat it like a couple times out of the month.
Yeah.
Another beneficial dietary change would be to minimize your consumption of starch and
Yeah.
to remove all wheat from your diet, because starch, it metastasizes. I mean, when your body breaks it down, it changes into sugar. Sugar then influences, it kicks off a whole bunch of other things that can lead to diabetes, heart disease, um, and also wheat, which contains gluten, which has a whole sorts of other problems. There's information on this in a book by a black man named Akil Anis. The book is called The God Awakening Diet.
Oh
There's another book called Wheat Belly by William Davis, MD, and another one called Brain by David Perlmutter. Those two are white men. But even though adherence to a dietary change can be difficult, the easiest way to start off would be to slowly remove one bad food item from your diet every week, and to allow yourself and your family one cheat day, because that'll make it easier to transition towards a healthy diet.
Yeah.
We want to stick to one, though, because sugar has extremely negative effects on the bodies of melanin-dominant people. Unlike non-melanin-dominant people, melanin-dominant people's immune system is their melanin. And when melanin-dominant people consume processed sugar, or actually sugar in general, because sugar in general is really bad, but specifically processed, or what they call refined sugar, it shuts down your immune system for 4 hours. So your immune system, when you eat that donut or whatever, your immune system is not working for 4 hours. You know, if the consumption of sugar is something of a regular occurrence, it can cause the black person's immune system to not function properly, if at all, and will lead to greater health problems in the future.
Wow.
Also,
Crazy.
excessive consumption of processed sugar can also lead to bone loss and tooth decay because of your body's need for the calcium. And if there's no calcium, because natural sugar, what they call, it's this type of sugar called rapadura. It comes from Brazil, and there they extract the cane juice and then allow the juice to dehydrate naturally. So it's this dark brown color, and you can see little flecks of the minerals in it. That sugar is better. It's still sugar, so you don't want to eat it that much, but it is better because it has the minerals in it that helps your body to process that fructose, because that's what sugar is. That's fructose. And fructose is something that your body doesn't really know how to handle. So if it doesn't have those minerals in it, then it will rob from your bones and your teeth, leading to bone loss, possibly even bone cancer, tooth decay. I gave specific importance to sugar because that's the main addictive food substance in America. Sugar has been classified as an addictive food substance by the medical industry. It is said to be, I think, 3 times, or if not more addictive than cocaine. But salty foods can also be quite addictive. This is because of the stimulative effects on the brain. And refined salt, like refined sugar, is just as addictive, if not more addictive than cocaine. It also robs from your teeth and your bones. So whether it's a salty or sugary treat, just once a week, one day in that week, and make sure that you boost that up with fiber, and healthy green juices with the pulp. It's best to have the green juice with the pulp. There again, it helps your body to process out whatever sugars in the juice, and also it cleans out your GI tract from any animal ingredients, because animal ingredients can lead to mucus. So yes, it's okay to eat meat occasionally, but it will an excessive consumption of meat leads to mucus, and if you're not getting your fiber, then you're just building and building on this mucus in your gut, which will lead to a host of digestive problems.
Wow. Which means, I could say, like, dairy has been the worst culprit. It definitely aided in mucus buildup. It contributed to breakout.
That's because
acne.
it's been pasteurized. Once it's pasteurized, it totally changes the molecular structure of the product. So
And
that
it messed up during that time of the month, it definitely wreaked havoc.
it totally changes the molecular structure so that it kills off all the nutrients in the dairy product and makes it into something that's primarily fat, water, and sugar. And because there's, there again, no minerals, so your body cannot process the sugar. And then all that fat just sits in your gut, and it leads to digestive problems. And if the digestive problems become very bad and are something that you experience over long periods of time, what happens is it can cause something that is called leaky gut, where the acids in your digestive tract will perforate the walls of your GI tract and cause the whatever nutrients that your body is trying to absorb to leach out into your bloodstream. And it's not, these are really, really not good things. It's just best to minimize your meat intake and also make sure that you eat a good amount of fiber. The FDA likes to promote wheat as a fiber source, but the best fiber source is from raw vegetables.
Okay.
We have Zora Souljah with us today.
Yeah.
How are you doing? How are you doing, sister?
Hello.
How are you guys doing?
We
Yeah,
doing
fine.
good, and you?
Great to hear y'all.
It's been a while. Yeah, so nice to hear you too. We were waiting for you, but we don't want to miss her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry I had to go to the grocery store while I had a ride. So.
That's fine. Get your food. That's the most important thing.
Yeah. So what are we discussing?
Well, we're discussing the causes of the rise in the dropout rate of black children in America. I was wondering what your point of view is on this topic. Have you seen the negative or positive effects to this issue in your community?
Yes, I have. In fact, that's the reason I wanted to start the community on Google Plus. I work as a volunteer grandparent with preschoolers, and I'm noticing there's a pattern that starts in preschool. Kids are very disruptive. They are having problems following directions. But teachers' hands are tied because they have all these protocols that I didn't have because I'm 62 years old and I was in a segregated community that just weren't in place now. Kids aren't getting the help that they need. For example, trying to get my thoughts together. For example, there's a young man there that he's 4 years old, but I really think he has a chance if he gets tested. I really think he has ADHD because he can only focus for a few minutes, but the teacher's not allowed to tell the parent that she thinks he needs testing because, as according to the school district, it will offend the parent. Well, why is it that in minority schools you can't tell a parent, but in other majority schools, they have social workers in place, counselors in place that can have these kids tested.
and recommend to the parent what to do. You know, there are a lot of grandparents that are raising kids because the parents aren't being as attentive as they should be with these children. So, so you have a lot of elderly people that are taking care of kids that, you know, these new age kids, they weren't like my kids were. They're not like I was. These kids have been exposed to so much. We have so much technology that these kids, they really can't concentrate or you know, they can't even follow simple directions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you try to help or suggest anything, you know, the only answer that you get is a protocol. Well, you know, back in the day, I'm pretty sure there were protocols, but teachers ignored them because they took interest in a child because, you know, you have to add to the quality of the life of a child. And sometimes you have to forego protocols and regulations. Since I live down here in the South, and you know there's a lot going on where I live right now with the transgender thing, we just had a incident here where there was a racist writing on a predominantly black school with the whites only graffiti over a drinking fountain. And that's what we're dealing with here in Texas. But meanwhile, while I deal with kids in class at the age of 4 and 5, who instead of, now they can tell you every word of a rap song, but they can't tell me what does the author do, what does the illustrator do, or if you give them a simple task, they cannot follow instructions. The teacher sends home, you know, they tell them if they get a happy face or a sad face, or, you know, what their behavior was that day. Parents don't look at them. They just sign it and give it right back to the teacher. So I want to come up with something where young parents won't feel threatened or feel like elders are telling them what to do. I just want to organize something that will give them our experience, strength, and hope. Because I know as a single parent, I know it's hard raising kids by yourself. You know, especially, you know, when I was fortunate enough for them to have mentors. But there's a lot of kids out here that don't have mentors. And older people are easy to call them bad. No, they're not bad. They just don't know how. They do crave discipline. I mean, one thing about it, they get more upset if I'm upset with them than if the teacher's upset with them. Because, I mean, I'm just old school. I tell them, if you do that again, me and you going to have a meeting in the ladies' room. And it's not going to be a nice meeting. And they know what I mean. And they will sit down. But if the teacher tells them that, they're still running around the room.
Because the teacher doesn't know how to control the classroom.
No, can't, because they're tied down by all these protocols. You can't say this and you can't say that. But during the kid is acting up, but during the parent-teachers conference, she's telling how good the child is. No, you tell them the problems that you're having with that child. Give them ways that they can help the child at home, so you can help the child at school. You know, one thing about us back in the day, if there was problems at school, you was gonna have a problem at home, and that would be the longest walk home because you knew your mother was waiting for you at the door. The parents and the teachers work together. The PTA is not strong anymore. That's what I've never do. Parents do not participate. We just had a field week. Only 3 parents came. Just had an incident a couple days ago where the parents came up for another child's field day, and the teacher told him that he couldn't participate because he had a fight in the class with a girl of another color. But she suspended him from field day, but not the girl that he had to fight with. So the parents were asking, why wasn't she suspended and you suspended my son from field day, and we took off our jobs to come up here to support our child. Well, it didn't go down well. The principal talked to them at a distance. I don't know why it occurred in the hallway, but long story short, it became a shouting match.
Oh.
The father got upset. The security guard was called. The man was already upset. And they're going to blows in the parking lot while their 3 children are watching.
Oh my God.
And the police was called.
Wow.
So they put all 3 children out of the school. Now, if I was the principal, I would have said, let's go to the office and talk to the teacher in question so we can de-escalate this problem as much as possible. Let's work on the solution instead of us fighting in front of 3 kids. Now, if parents see that kind of children seeing that kind of behavior, because kids, they don't, they only emulate what they see. It's not. So, what kind of message are those children taking home? After the principal showed no support, she defended that teacher who calls these kids dumb, snowflakes. Now, there's not even one white kid in the class, but she calls them snowflakes. She calls them stupid. She might kick one of them.
Wow.
And
She kicks them?
Yes.
That's not that's illegal.
I know. So I made a little call to the parents since I had their number, and I said, you need to call Child Protective Services. If the school is not going to take care of this, you need to take care of this.
We need to take our children out of those schools.
This is what I had mentioned earlier in the broadcast. We need to get our children out of those schools.
Yeah.
It's
not doing anything.
We need more. There are a few Afrocentric schools, but nowhere near enough. We need a whole lot more. I don't think there are any in California. Not that I know of. There are hardly any black people out here anyway. But
it's horrible.
We need to do better in collaborating with each other and coming up with ideas to protect our kids.
Because that's unacceptable.
This government's certainly not going to.
No. The fact that they're putting up those signs, I think that's a reality check to us, because for some reason, a lot of us, a lot of black people, for some reason, don't think that racism is as bad as it was before. And you will hear them say this, and that's the worst, the most dangerous mentality you could ever have. I think we need a reality check where we have these suspected racist white people doing this, because ultimately immigration has been the worst thing for us. And as the brother off code has said, the signs went down and we became more confused.
Yep.
And that's exactly what the hell happened, because we don't even understand. And like you were saying, Zara, a lot of these parents, unfortunately, it's hard being a single parent. But from where I stand, and I'm looking at these young black males and females, a lot of them are more concerned about being on social media and trying to live again. They're trying to revive their life instead of trying to be parents. They're trying to dress up and go clubbing and take pictures and do all this stuff, and they're not paying any attention to
booty shots.
Yeah, and all they do is just, they don't even check their homework. You're not teaching them. You just send them to school, and you think it's the teacher's job to just take on full charge. And these teachers are suspected racists that don't give a damn about your child. They don't even see a child as a child. They see a child as a disgusting object.
Or an animal, or less than an animal.
Yeah, that's why she could kick them and not care.
Yeah. But some of these parents treat their kids like they're little mini-me's.
Yeah.
There was one kid in my class where whenever she wears the skirt, and she's a pretty little girl, I caught her one day twerking in front of a boy in her underwear. I forgot that she was my child just that quick, and I jerked her little butt up and took her out of that classroom. I said, let me tell you something. You are a very pretty little girl, but you don't show your underwear. I don't care what your parents are doing at home. Your parents are grown. Your mother and your grandmother are grown. You are 4 years old. I don't know where you're picking up that habit, but you will not bring it here. before you can have a pretty face all you want, but what matters is what's between your ears. You need knowledge.
Children copy the behavior of whatever they most commonly see.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they most commonly see.
If they're watching a lot of TV, then they're going to copy whatever they see on TV. If their parents are those types of people that, do the booty shaking and all that around their kids, then the kids are going to copy that.
That's absolutely horrible.
But it shocks me that a 4-year-old knows enough to do this. I mean, when my girls were that age, well, I mean, they're 40 and 33 now, so during that generation, I mean, although I raised them by myself, I always said, don't give me a reason to come up to that school, take off my job, lose some money, and I have to come and discipline you. And I meant that. And they knew I meant that. So if they got in trouble, if I got a note from school, first I'm going to get on them, and then I'm going to the school. But they didn't see me do a lot of things. I was very careful about my children. They didn't see me date. They was wondering why I wasn't dating, because I wasn't bringing anybody around there, around my girls, even if I had boys, that would put a negative influence on them. I didn't want them to see habits that I had that they could have copied. I guess that's why they said, Mama, we grew up square. No, you grew up to be different. I did not want you to go the path that I went. So I raised you in a different way. So
Which is right.
They may not notice it now, but they will be thankful for it later.
they are doing very well. They're both professionals. What have you missed? You both have beautiful homes. You both are doing well. You're doing things that I didn't do. So what did you miss?
Yeah. Especially when you see the stuff that these kids are into nowadays.
Yeah.
You're not missing out on anything because it's they're doing it out of confusion. There's no benefits in that. It's just gonna put you in a bad place where you don't. What we consider fun is our destruction all the time.
I remember there's this stupid program I used to watch several years ago called The Smoking Gun, and on it, it's his comedy reality show, and on it they were making fun of this music video that was done by this little boy. He was like 4, and I guess his parents and a bunch of other black women and black men, and he's 4 and he's playing the role of the lusty young black man lusting after these black women in bathing suits, and he's rapping about how fly he is and all this mess, and talking about these black women, and they've even got some little black girls in bathing suits. It was,
Oh my goodness.
it was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I've seen a video where it was basically looked like they were from the South, but I'm not sure. But basically it was a music video, and they were like shake that. It was some type of chorus going on, talking about some shake that, and it was black female mothers on the football court shaking and shaking and shaking. One of them, she had on a pair of leggings, and you could tell she didn't have any underwears on. And there were little girls, little black girls there, and they were doing that as well. They were dancing and shaking, and then you got the black male who's rapping and da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, that doesn't look decent at all. That's horrible. Got those little girls shaking, and there's grown black males around, there's adult black males around, and these little girls are shaking, and they've seen their mom shake, and it's like, what kind of message is that conveying to them?
Exactly. And the one that I had seen, there was a whole lot of sexual innuendo with the little boy holding the water bottle down there near his jock area with the water spurting out of the water bottle, but that's suggesting. And then he's talking about, he's so hot or some stupid, I don't remember. I'm surprised that Child Services didn't arrest that mom. It was that bad. It was it was like just a few verbs shy of being child pornography. But as I was saying earlier, a lot of this has to do with diet and exposure of and overconsumption of refined sugar, refined salt. It is important, though, that you do get at least one cheat day. That one allowance makes adherence to the dietary regimen much more manageable because, we're all human beings and we all have our favorite foods that help. That sometimes, if we're stressed out or something and, we have that one cookie, but don't make that a habit, especially any kind of what they call comfort feeding, because that's when it can become addictive.
Well, you have a school diet where, the same trucks that I saw as a kid are the same food trucks that are used today. So that means GMO-laden foods are being fed to the kids, and you should see some of these menus and what they feed these kids. I'm a vegan, and they had a cheese pizza one day. I had 2 bites, and I was ill.
Yeah, because I've seen the back of the box on that stuff for the kids. It had a list of ingredients so long. It was longer. No, it was the length from my wrist to my elbow. That's how long of a list of ingredients was in. That was a box of, I don't remember, some processed food. I don't remember what it was, but it's crazy. And a lot of kids don't even know what real food looks like anymore. They don't know what a chicken leg looks like because they're used to eating chicken nuggets. They don't know what real meat looks like. They don't know, they think that pizza is a vegetable, literally. One major problem many people face when making dietary change is the lack of support from friends and relatives, though. So if you're not able to convince your family to make the change with you, then it's imperative that you find some type of support group that you converse with regularly, either online or in person, so you can share your progress as well as your failures, and so that way you have some measure of support. While I was speaking mainly to BAFs, if there are any young Black people or BAMs, even who are out there listening in, these tips are very manageable for yourselves. It will require you to have to buy and prepare your own food, but the long benefits will greatly outweigh whatever issues you may face in that regard. But as difficult as a dietary change can be, the long-term benefits outweigh the stresses, and you will see these benefits in your increased rate of physical and mental vitality. You'll also notice the benefits in the lives of your family and your child's scholastic abilities if they also choose to follow that same regimen. But the most important thing we have to remember is that the children are our future. So more important than buying the latest piece of clothing or accessory item or eating out at the newest restaurant is making sure that our children are given the best physical, mental, and spiritual care that we can possibly provide for them. But that'll be all for today. This is Starr Empress Hour with Cookie and Kay, and I'd like to thank Sister Zora Souljah Bey for her participation. I also like to thank Sister Sabrina for listening in on our panel. Please check us out on Google+, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and please be sure to check out our podcast on Podomatic and SoundCloud.